Hi there, I'm Tim Allen and I'm working with Wise Moves, and your local library has contacted us asking how you can make some festive animation with materials around the home. Now firstly, I've been animating for 20 years doing stop motion. I've done films like Peter and the Wolf, Creature Comforts USA, Fifi and the Flower Tots, Disney's Club Penguin, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and this t-shirt, it's not very festive. This is my Tim Burton's Corpse Bride t-shirt, and we've done 2 videos looking at how you can use equipment and software, and also how you can create the scenery and how you can assign character to objects in the way that you move them. Today we're going to bring it all together into your own festive animation. Okay, here we go. We are now looking through the lens of the camera. If I put my hand in front, you can see that's a live image. And with Christmas Pudding and Santa, they are in what I call the end position. So effectively they're going to start from out of camera and come to this position to give me an idea where they need to be. Something else you might find interesting, I've also marked in the floor with a toothpick where the Christmas pudding is going to start and also the direction of travel he's going to go on. And if I follow the toothpick, I actually come along the same line that the Christmas pudding's going to run along. Once both the characters are out, I'm going to take about 3 frames with an empty background, and that gives the audience time to adjust to see what they're looking at. So they can see they're looking at a wintry forest, and then they'll start to see the characters coming into frame after that. So about 3 or 4 frames is a nice amount. And I've now started bringing in the Christmas pudding's shadow. You can see the shadow is creeping in just before the Christmas pudding does. And I'm going to keep on doing small little rolls. He's coming to a stop now, but I want him to almost, his momentum to come to a stop, so he's slightly leaning in. And so smaller and smaller movements, we call these a slow out. And then I'm going to bring him back on himself so he's into more of an upright position for the end. That's quite a big movement, but it'll be nice and dynamic. And one more slow out again. You'll see me using the word slow out a lot. When characters come to the end of their movement, we tend to have much smaller positions to allow them to slow down. That'll do it. Yeah, nice slow movement there, and I'll take a few positions like that so we get to see him as he is, before we start to introduce Santa. And with Santa, we're not going to see his shadow before he comes in, so I'm going to start bringing him just the edge of his body into frame. I've gone for quite a big fast movement. He's going to be very enthusiastic to get into position. Well, it's Christmas, it's his time of year, of course he's enthusiastic. Note that while I'm animating Santa, I'm being careful not to put my arm anywhere near the Christmas pudding. I want Christmas pudding to stay still for the moment. And Santa's tilted to the left, he's now going to tilt to the right, and then he'll get into his final position. And all I want to do with Santa now is to bring him standing upright, and then he'll be in his final position also. A couple more frames. For those that are wondering, we're shooting using Cloud Stop Motion, and Cloud Stop Motion works on a browser. It's not an app, but because it works on an internet browser, you can use it on any device, a Mac, a PC, an Android, an iPhone, an iPad. You just have to open up the internet browser and it will come up through that as opposed to a dedicated app. But that way it can work on any device. Okay, one more, and then Santa. This will be his last slow out, as we call it, and Santa will be in place. And I'm going to take a couple of frames of Santa in that position so we can both see the two of them looking at each other. It's a bit of a stare down, but more of a festive stare down. What's going to happen next? And in terms of what happens next, we can't have a festive showdown without putting out some festive weapons. And in this case, I'm going to let Christmas Pudding do the honours. He's going to slyly reach out of frame. See that I'm turning him. If I turn too far, you can see the blue tack just behind him. So in a moment, I'm going to have to hide the blue tack again. Christmas Pudding is going to reach out of frame, as if reaching to grab an object. So you can do quite an extreme lean. And what is he leaning for? All is about to become clear, I think. Yes, you can see it. He is leaning for a Christmas cracker. I'll make it very clear that this is to be a gift of friendship. And he's leaning for, it is of course a Christmas cracker. What better way for Christmas Pudding and Santa to celebrate? And what's Father Christmas going to do? Father Christmas is obviously excited. He's raising his hands up for a couple of frames. I'm also tilting him back on the blue tack that supports him a little bit from behind. And now Father Christmas is going to start to lean in because he's so excited. He, of course, reaches to grab the cracker, ready to pull. And at this stage, I'm going to have them both lean in to the cracker as if they're going to give it a good grip. Yeah. Now, Father Christmas has got very thin metal arms. I'm not entirely sure that I can make him completely hold the cracker. I'm going to lean him down, bend his arms, and hope that feels like he's doing so. Now I've got them both leaning in as if they're grabbing the cracker, and this is what in animation we call an anticipation, to grab before they tug and pull backwards. And the next frame, of course, will be them starting to yank backwards as they start to pull the cracker. And you can see here I've got them moving before the cracker moves. It's what we call in animation action reaction, as in you push something and then it moves, or you pull something and then it moves. And the next frame could be much more extreme because they've really pulled back to give it a good yank, and they're really pulling back to give it a good tug. Now we can see they're moving, but not the cracker. That's okay, I've got a solution for that. I'm actually going to take the cracker now and give it a good pull myself. Let's see if I can stretch it out. I want to make it thinner. I want to make it thinner and longer. How does that look? Oh, that looks like a cracker being pulled to me. And I'll do one or two more positions in this tugging position, as if they're straining for a moment before the inevitable pop. You can see I'm using the left and right arrow keys to keep checking my positions every time. And they can move forward and back just a little bit to give the sense of strain. I'll keep moving this just a little bit. It's all these little subtle moves that will feel like they're under strain. And another one going out. So I'm moving them in and out a little bit, and the vibration effect will feel a bit like they're under huge strain before everything pops. There we go. I'm going to play that through. And lastly, this is going to be their last pull before the big pop. Now we're ready for a big movement where the cracker is going to burst open. First of all, I'm going to animate the characters, and we'll assume that they have fallen back with the bursting of the cracker. This will be the biggest movement we do of the whole animation, I imagine, where all of their straining gets released in one big movement. Now the cracker needs to burst. We're now at the stage where we're going to have the biggest movement of the whole animation, and I can do all sorts of changes, like take the cracker off the set, because it's going to be such a big move we're never going to notice. And the reason I want to take it off the set is because it's going to burst in half, and I want to give it a cartoony style tear. So I've got some scissors, and you may have to check with an adult first before you commit to cutting something up. Obviously once I do this, then I've broken the cracker. There's only so many goes I'm going to have at cutting a cracker up. I think I've only got 2 spare should this go wrong. So I have to be pretty confident that this is the way I want to cut the cracker, and this is the moment, because it's not very easy to put it back together. Oh goodness, and wouldn't you know it, there is a hat and a joke. And of course there's even, this is something you may want to get an adult to do, there's the cracking bit in the middle. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. This is me making a wish to myself. I don't need the inside for this particular moment. Let me see. I've got an orange hat, and there's probably going to be a terrible joke. Did Rudolph go to school? Nope, he was elf-taught. I'll leave that there. Back to the animation. On with the animation, and we have a freshly ripped cracker. I want it to be able to burst up in the air like that, which I think Santa's going to have problems holding. So what I'm going to do is run a toothpick and run it through one of the holes in the back of the cracker under here, and use that to prop it up. We're only going to see it for a second or two, so I don't really mind that we'll see it. And the same with our Christmas pudding. And you may... Perfect, that's one big bang. Okay, now I've got one last thing to make this complete. I'm actually taking my mobile phone and I'm going to turn on the app which activates a torch. This is going to be a big flash, which is the big bang of the cracker bursting open. Let's take this frame. And I'll turn off my phone again. That's one big flash. Bang. You'll see how this works in a second. And off. And now they can start bringing the cracker back down again. As if they've recoiled from the big bang of the cracker, and now it's coming back on the floor. I want the cracker a little bit lower. they're starting to come down. And I'm going to use the flash from my phone one more time, but not as brightly this time, a bit further away, as if the brightness is dimming somewhat. So there's less light on this. And now, from now on, there'll be no more flash of light at all. I can also take the toothpick out of this cracker now, because I'm not going to need that anymore. It's going to stay on the floor. Father Christmas's hands can go all the way up. And I'm going to have him getting ready to stand in an upright position. Now the cracker's pretty much come to its end position. I'm going to use a bit of blue tack here to hold this one in place so it doesn't move quite so easily. But I've got one more trick on my sleeve. At the end of these coloured lights at the back, I of course have a little battery switch which can do this. So the things are about to get much more festive. Okay, we're almost there, but the software Cloud Stop Motion has got one last trick up its sleeve. First of all, let's take a look at what we've done so far. In comes Pudding, in comes Santa, he's got a cracker, tug, bang! And the festive lights do really help. There's one more thing that I'd like to add that Cloud Stop Motion can give you. If I go to the little T button to the side here, that opens a box called for titles, credits, and this one here, speech bubbles. Now the speech bubble one is, hello isn't quite the festive message that I want, but if I click on the text again, that will give me a range of options, and I can go here where it says choose a speech bubble, and I'm going to go for this big explosion one. And of course I don't really want the message hello, I want to go for something a bit more seasonal.